Yeah, so welcome everyone. I'm Prakhar, and today I'll show you the work I've done in Google Summer of Code this time during the summer. So it was mostly improving the easy forms for and making it compatible for Plone 5. So I'll just describe my work that I've done. So first I'll talk about what forms are in Plone. Like earlier we have Plone form gen. It's quite stable, it's quite functional, and it has a lot of functionalities and all. Then we have easy forms, which are mostly dexterity content type, and that Plone form gen is mostly arc type. So yeah, so these are the forms in Plone, mainly basic forms. So it's always a like fight for like porting archetype or dexterity which you choose. So now in Plone 5 we are, since like last 4 releases, we are basically working on dexterity only. So we are deprecating archetype content type. So yeah, so there's a package named Collective.easyform that provides forms with dexterity content type, and though it has less functionalities and less stable than PFG for, and earlier in the websites we use PFG for creating forms. So for dexterity we use easy forms. So yeah, so main question is why, like why we have worked on that project if we already have easy forms with us, and it's for dexterity and it's a clone sort of PFG for archetype to dexterity. So the problems, there are a lot of problems with easy forms, like we can't use it directly with the available state we started working on last 5 months before. So it was not that ready to be used in Plone sites, for especially Plone 5. There are a lot of problems. So yeah, this is one of the like test cases are failing at the initial stage. There are a lot of functional flaws in functionality of the easy forms, and there are also a lot of problems with, like let's say example mailers and all. So they break sometimes, they are not working properly according to the behavior, and they are behaving not normally like what we have expected from them. Yeah, so basically I not created a project from scratch, it was already there, the idea was already there. I've done a lot of enhancements in them. So these enhancements include basically improving test cases for the easy forms, also improving a lot of functionalities, like how the form should look in the website, how the functionalities should be put so that users can edit them, users can use those functionalities and all these things. It was not it was not optimized, though it's not optimized right now also, but yeah, we have tried to improve those things from what it was earlier. Yeah, so first thing I worked on is like improving that mailer thing. So what I faced when I started installing Collective Easy Forms, that the mailer thing is breaking and it was showing some errors of ZOP and all, that you can't proceed with this thing. So there was few changes in the code that I did, and it got merged, and now the mailer thing is working. Also yeah, also when I was working, also we have improved the test cases, and during improving those test cases we have faced a lot of, and we have detected a lot of errors in the code base, like it should not be like this, it should not be like that. Let's say an example of that for the email IDs, emails for the mailers. So if you don't provide an email for that mailer, it should pick the default mailer from email ID from the site, right? So it was not there. So if anyone forgets to configure the mailer settings and directly tries to create a form with his email ID and all, it was showing error like you have not configured the email IDs. So it should not be like that, and it should take the email IDs and configurations of the users. If not defined in the mailer, it should take the default configuration from the website. So yeah, so while this is what we have decided to work like, while I was improving the test cases, Steve, he was my mentor for the summer, he started making the code more readable, more understandable. So the code was scattered everywhere in the repository, so he started combining the code more, make it more modular and more easy for me to start working on that. So first he aligned all the like shifting all the interfaces at a place so that I can know that what type of functionality that code provides and what we can improve. And also when I was improving test cases, I detected a lot of functionality changes, like functionality flows, that it should not be done like this, because in PFG we do things like that, Plone form gen we do things like that, but here we are doing like that. So should we stick to the current behavior or should we do as it is in the Plone form gen? And main thing is we don't want to make drastic changes because users are already using Plone form gen, right? So we don't want users to get lot of changes that they will be like disturbed and they won't be liking to use easy forms. So we don't want more changes from the to the users. So we decided to change few of the functionalities accordingly. Yeah, so I'll talk about that testing thing. So yeah, so first thing when I started talking with Steve about the project, so I was like, it was already there and it was a huge repository, so it was quite tough for me to get the understanding of the project, what it wants to do and what each function is doing and how it works. So Steve told me like, go to the test cases, read the test cases of each module and try to understand what they are doing there, and you will get the understanding of the whole project. So it's really important for I think it's really important for any project to have test cases, and it really helps not to just keep the idea what you have thought at the first time, that what your project should be driven to till the end, but also like if someone comes and wants to know about your project and how the functionalities work, especially with functions, though you have a readme or docs for that, but still if you want to know what that specific function is doing and what it is doing in the the repository, the test cases really helps a lot. So these things really helps me a lot. And also what I feel is that test cases really helps in keep the track of the project. Like it was a 3-month project, so there are chances that we have thought something and later we came to that discussion after a month. So there are chances that we have missed some points during that whole month because we were working on some other thing. So these test cases really helps us a lot, because what we do is we started writing test cases for the things we have decided, like we should go through this, we should implement this thing. So first we have implemented test cases for that and then we started developing for them. So even we delay a little bit of development, but we know what we have to achieve at the end because we have test cases and we have to develop things according to the test cases. So these things really helps during the project. Yeah, so when I was working on those test cases, there were a lot of improvements in the design, like I will say, yeah, let's say you can see these fields and actions. I can't show you. Yeah, so these fields and actions are like hanging around in the sidebar randomly without any icons and all. These are for easy forms, so this is not a good design. Like this is not there in Plone form gen, like you don't see any of the extra fields in the sidebar which are hanging around without any icons, and it doesn't look good. So when we are writing test cases and behavioral test cases for browser test cases, we have decided to move these things to the actions tab. See, so what we have done is we have shifted the fields and actions for the easy forms in that main action tabs, and it looks more cleaner. If you go to easy form and you just have to go to actions and you can define their fields and actions, so it's more cleaner, more good looking. So these are the things that we have detected through test cases and tried to improve them. So yeah, that was the one part of the project, and this is like the it was like a nightmare for me for the first time when I came to know about that we have to migrate the forms. Yeah, so earlier when I was proposing the project and creating proposal, so I was in the impression that yeah, we have to migrate the forms. There are a lot of ways that we migrate Plone sites. So we already have a pathway to migrate contents of the Plone, right? So we can use that path and we can migrate the forms. So yeah, so what I was like, there are a lot of options, we can do anything and we can adopt any of the options and it will gonna work fine. So yeah, for after discussing with Steve and a lot of people on IRC, what we have come to the conclusion that we will give an option to the users in the control panel, so that there will be a setting option for the easy forms. Users can go there and they can choose an option like they want to migrate the previously present forms in the dexterity content type. So we proceeded with that thing, and then the main thing comes that after that design thing we have to write the functionality like how to migrate the content type. So I was thinking about using Plone app content type, the custom migration thing, but it's not that easy. Like PFG has its own content type, and it's the content type, the PFG forms are not flat, they are hierarchical. So we can't directly just pass the content types and we can migrate it from archetype to dexterity. So it's sort of tree. So we have to we have to we have to go through the tree and check for the fields and types which are custom content type of the Plone form gen, and then we have to migrate it to dexterity. So yeah, we started looking. I started looking for Plone app content type. Then the answer was no, we can't directly use that to migrate the forms. Okay, so I started discussing with people, and Steve said what are the other ways we can use to migrate the forms. So he suggested me to write. We should start writing. We should get the idea from Plone and content types how they migrate the fields for the Plone sites. So we should start writing migrations for separate fields and content types. So still here also we started with test cases and we started migrating few of the fields, and yeah, so those test cases were working, but it's not complete. We have to work a little bit more on that because PFG is not a small project, so that there are only 5-10. There are a lot of content types, and we have to work on individual content type, and we have to create a path to migrate those from archetype to dexterity. So we are still working on it. I will still have a discussion with Steve about how we can proceed with it, and also I had a discussion with other people here, so they also put some comments on that. Yeah, so this is the snapshot of the migration we have started writing for fields. Like we have started migrating init fields from archetype to dexterity, like normal string field from archetype to dexterity, text field from archetype to dexterity. So this is the first sort of migration we started working on. It needs improvement. We are still working on it, and the amount of migration we have written, it's working. It passes the test cases, and it's working according to the behavior that we want. But yeah, still we want a lot of efforts to migrate these things. Yeah, so this was the whole project that I did for the summer. Though we have implemented less things maybe, but it was quite tough for me to get through the project and to understand what it does, because it was already present. I have not created anything from scratch. So to get the knowledge of the project, to know about what the project wants to do and why developers have developed this thing there and not this thing there. So it was quite tough for me at the initial stage to get the understanding of the project. But yeah, people on IRC, Steve, Davey, there are few guys, Tom, they really helped me a lot during the whole whole time period of the project. And these are like the summary, like we have improved the test cases and we have made it stable for Plone 5. So now we can install it and it's not breaking. Apart from that, yeah, we have improved some design, as I told you, like actions, fields. We have also discussed few things like actions and fields, like when we click it shows pop up, we should show in it in pop up, or we should redirect to the another URL as a normal page. So we have discussed these things also. And yeah, there was no install, we don't need install and uninstall profile apart if we don't have any migrations for that. So for migrations we have discussed that we will have an install and default and uninstall profile for the package. So whenever a package is installed, it will create a settings for the package in the control panel, and that will give us the option for the users to, if they want to migrate their forms from type to dexterity, and when we uninstall it, it will remove that thing. Yeah, and we have also introduced the framework, like how we should start working on migrations. So it's not done, but yeah, we have started working on that. Yeah, so what I felt like, I did the Google this type of project last year also. It was on safe HTML transform. So this project is quite on tougher side for me than the earlier, because earlier sorry, earlier I worked on the project and it was from scratch, right? I have to create my own add-on and I have to work on that. But this time what I felt like, first I need to get the understanding of the code that is already there, and then I have to start working on that. And yeah, so people really supported me during the whole project, like the stupid questions I used to put on IRC, on the email, on community.plone, and they took some time to give responses on this. And Steve, Demi, Tom, these people really helped me a lot during the, yeah. So okay, so this is the work that I've done for the Google Summer of Code, and I just want to share this thing with you. And also please read this thing if you get time for 6 feet up. Thank you.